Ladies. Well, I am glad that you are on here. I hope to have more jump on soon because today's topic I think is actually a very big one. And we're talking today about using speaking engagements to build your business. And Rachel, you are coming to speak next week. So
Yes, I am, and I am counting on in increasing my speaking, my business through my speaking. There we go.
Yes. Yeah, we're going to get it out one way or another. Yeah. So today, and really what I want to do is I want to make this a 3-part series. So but with that being said, I do want to say, because we have VIP next week, VIP week, we won't be meeting for this because we'll be, we'll have VIP week going on. But what I want to do today is I want to go through some basic questions. Hopefully you got the worksheet. I want to talk about speaking and what the value of it is, and to brainstorm some potential areas that you could speak on. But also I want to reserve some time at the end to do some Q&A. So Rachel, because I know that you are going to be speaking, if there, we could do some tips and tricks to help you. But the other 2 parts of this series is to really set this up so that you can be getting more speaking engagements and you can be prepared. You can have the whole kit to present yourself as a speaker and figure out where to look, how to do it, and be successful at it. It's been a big part of my business success, is just getting out there and speaking in all kinds of venues. And what I'd like to say to people is that it really is not just all the social media posting that I've done, but it really has to do with the speaking engagements, no matter how small or how big. That has really brought a lot of visibility and has brought me a lot of business. So I want you all to be able to experience that as well. Hey, Amanda, I see you.
I'm eating, so I would have my camera off.
Okay, no worries at all. Hey, I do want to do, before we jump into speaking, I want to do a quick check-in from last week. We had a really good session where we were sharing resources and looking at some tools, some cool tools that you had. And one of the things that I gave you was the weekly planner. And I'll share my screen because I actually use this planner. Let's see here. Can you all see it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just to show you, I mean, I've been using it on a regular basis here in the last several weeks, and it's saved me a lot of time and heartache. So, and I actually use all 3 pages. So I'm curious if anybody has tried out your planner, and if so, how you like it.
I wasn't on last week. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, if you go to last week's calendar invite, the attachment should be on there so that you can get the planner.
Great. I'm gonna go there and get it.
Yep. Lois, did you get a chance to try it?
Oh, definitely, Angie. Yeah, I am in love with this planner, and I printed it off. So I'm writing on it, but I'm going to leave one on my computer.
Yeah.
Because that is going to make me know where it is at all time and be able to, update it versus having 100 pieces of paper. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it on my homepage, my desktop. Yeah. So then I can just find it nonstop. But yeah. I am in love with this planner, and it's just helping me bring all of my thoughts to one place, and the least amount of space, the better.
Yeah,
is not to keep it so wide and big, but keeping it all in one area. So yeah, I love the brain dump. That's probably my favorite. because all of my thoughts, getting them, out of my mind is good. And
Mhm.
then I love the big fat goals. I just love that. I love that you put it that way, because that's what they are. So,
Yeah,
but I love every part of it and how you categorize it too. It's
yeah.
amazing.
Well, and one reason why it's helpful, what the value is in it is, we as women, we worry. We always are concerned that we're going to forget something, or, we do need to do a brain dump. We need to empty our brains so that we can have space to think and do other things. And that's what I love about it. My mind is constantly swirling with ideas and thoughts and all the tiny little minutia that goes on with the VIP center that I have to remember. And, it just drives me, it builds up. And so it causes stress. So I would say that this is a great stress management tool as well. All right, well, we are going to go ahead and I'll check in with you to see first, is there a particular topic that you need an answer to, or that you want to work through before we go into speaking? So Rachel, I'll check in with you. Is there anything that you've got?
I had a question about VIP week, but I thought it would probably be answered during the question session Wednesday morning. So I don't know if we want to take time right now.
You can ask it.
So because we're sending PowerPoints to CART, are we going to have somebody that can help us monitor the Zoom?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. That's great.
Yeah, we will have one of our team members managing the online community.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And it looks like we're going to have a big online community. So, yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay. All right. Lois, are there any burning questions or problems that you need to solve today?
Well, it's me just putting all of my, I remember a while back, Angie, you did something with lanes. You did something with lanes, like, I guess all of the fires maybe in the oven, or, I don't know if I can do it in a few minutes, Angie, that's all. I'm thinking it's just a little bit more than that, so.
Is it about all the different categories?
Yeah, that are kind of like every day, that I have to touch every day. Like for me, it's school for my girls, but for my job, it's like the insurance, home life, school life, church life, and trying to just manage it all, but keep it separate. And the big thing for me is this independent broker setting myself up, which I've never done it. And so it's so many pieces. Like I feel like I'm dealing with a 1,000,000-piece puzzle, but I'm getting there. It's just taking me a while, but I'm getting there and I feel good about it. And again, this planner is I've just brought this into it as well. So
one thing that I would tell you, I mean, believe it or not, we have some similarities in the way that we think. We got all these things that are swirling around, and it's about prioritizing them.
mm-hmm.
So what I recommend that you do is, the first step is even use the planner to do the brain dump on everything that is on your mind. So like if you've got all these different things that you have to manage, maybe you take your planner and you say, okay, I've got managing kids after school, or managing or school. Maybe you've got your real estate,
Insurance,
insurance, sales process. Just what I would do is every swirling thought that comes to you, I would just capture it here. and allow yourself to do a brain dump, even just for a day, you know, and you can fill this list up. And if you run out of room on here, then you can go ahead and put it over here in the notes section. So that would be the first step, is that brain dump. And then go back and start to look at, okay, what things are alike?
Okay.
You know, what things do I need to group together similar, you know, that are similar? And so you can even come over here and say, okay, we've got kids, we've got insurance business, and then we've got VIP, Airbnb, because that's one of your things too.
Yes.
You've got church. So you could use this over here. I mean, you could use this over here to organize and look at your list and say, okay, sales process, I need to put that under here. So you're basically categorizing things. Like this is the second one, this is the first one. You're starting big and you're narrowing down. So what about the sales process? I need to figure it out, okay? So when you figure that out, it means that you need to schedule time. When will you do it, right? So you just start taking these big, hairy things and you start narrowing it down a little bit at a time. VIP, Airbnb, make sure schedule's up to date. Mark your calendar for checkouts, right? I mean, you can just start making lists. I mean, you can create list after list and it will help you to narrow that down. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes, that's good.
Okay.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Okay, and I know that doesn't solve all your problems, but it's a place to start.
Oh, yes, definitely. I'm starting.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Amanda, you got anything?
I do not.
Okie dokie. All right, ladies. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to just start working through speaking, using speaking engagements to build your business. And I want you to talk about your experience with public speaking. There are only 3 of us on here, so I'm not going to group us up. But I want you to think about this for a moment. You can even jot down some thoughts. That helps us to get ourselves organized in what we're talking about. But you know, the first question is, have you spoken publicly? And you know, also answer, you know, would you say that you're a novice? It's like you don't speak, you know, maybe you've spoke once or twice here or there, but you really don't know much about speaking or you know, how to get recognized as a speaker. You may be somewhat experienced where you've done a few things, or you would say that you're well-versed in speaking. Now, when I talk about speaking, I'm not just talking about you getting up and addressing an audience. I'm talking about the whole strategy around speaking. You know, having your speaker bio, you know, how to reach out to people and get speaking engagements, and how to make sure that you are visible afterwards. So really, when I speak about speaking engagements, I'm talking about, you know, there's a strategy around it. Okay. So I want you to just take a moment to jot down some thoughts about that, and then we'll share. So I'll give you just a couple of minutes. Okay, let's go ahead and share. So Rachel, why don't you kick us off and tell us what you put?
Okay, so I have been speaking publicly since about the 3rd grade. Honestly, that is about when I started. I was performing memorized speeches for the Women's Temperance Christian Union, our Women's Christian Temperance Union, on the evils of drugs and alcohol. So I would memorize these large speeches and would perform them with other people of my age and rank. And the winner who did the best presentation got a little pin and the ability to move on to the next level. So I'm really comfortable speaking in public, especially when I really am passionate about the subject that I'm teaching on and am comfortable with it. I've also done theater, like so plays, from middle school to high school to college. And then I was a professional dramatist with an organization called Covenant Players in my 20s for 2 years. So that was a lot of performing from audiences of 1 to 300. And I've also addressed large groups of college students, medical students, to teach them the software management system for their courses called Da Vinci. So, and then I've also done a few presentations on finances and the ESBI quadrants. So my comfort level is 4. I will not say I'm a 5 because I know that I still nerve up now and then once, right before I get started. And especially if it's a new topic or a first time that I'm presenting information. But once I get started, it's like the stage fear kind of drifts off and I'm like, you need to know this information because, and this is, passion is very important and sometimes a little off-putting. So I got to work on that. So.
Okay. All right, good. And I love that you brought up the 3rd grade thing. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, they've been training us up since we were little kiddos, right?
Well, and that's why that's one of the things I want to accomplish through my ministry, Stormy Waters, is to help people get over that fear of public speaking, because it's so prevalent, especially nowadays when students aren't even taught those skills anymore and they interact so much online that they don't know how to interact with people in real life. Eye contact. Yeah. Who makes eye contact anymore?
Those are great points. And yeah, I love that. I would love to see you just build out that part of your business and it really take off, because there is a need for it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Amanda, let's go to you.
Well, I haven't had much experience doing public speaking. I've given presentations, but not really doing public speaking. So I'd say I'm a novice and I'm uncomfy.
Okay.
Uncomfy.
Okay. I've seen you speaking. I mean, like at Her Story, when you're just treating it as, hey, I'm just talking to you, you seem to be a lot more comfortable.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Lois, how about you?
Yay. This is so exciting for me. So I'm actually even a communications major. So I love speaking. I love talking. I love to productively talk. I could talk casual, but I love speaking.
Mm-hmm.
I have most of my experience in the church, born and raised in the church. So I've done most of my speaking, singing in the church. So I'm very comfortable in that setting and have done everything from introduce do the welcome all the way up to actually being the main speaker of that service. So in that setting, very, very comfortable. I'm not going to say I'm super comfy. I'm right in the middle of super comfy and comfy with that. Okay. However, in just, you might say more of a secular setting or business or professional rooms, I'm not afraid to speak. I just need to have my strategy. I would love to be able to come into this part of speaking because I think I could be almost very well off. I could, because I'm thinking if I could have income from speaking, I think I would. That's probably what I should have been doing anyway. That's probably what I should be doing. Because it's just natural. I think, Rachel was saying, I think, the young people can be trained and they can. And I do think that there is a natural gifting for persons to speak. Now, I'm not saying people can't learn and be trained to do whatever we can in life, because training is very important. But I think sometimes where, you know, there is a thing between being trained and then a talent and being gifted in an area. And for me, I think that is one of probably my underspoken natural abilities, is speaking.
Ah, very good. And, you know, when I hear what you're saying in more of a church setting, or, you know, something that is spiritually driven, there's a higher level of comfort and knowledge there. I mean, because part of that is you're going to be given in that same hour what you should say. So there's just this flow and this spontaneity that happens, and there's a freedom in it. Whereas in more of the business realm, you feel like you have to have all of your ducks in a row. You know, you could, you know, you've got that natural raw talent. It just needs to be shaped up, and you need to have a plan in order to feel more comfortable. So is that what I hear you saying?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that all of us can relate to that. There are certain areas where we do feel more comfortable, especially when we are the expert of that topic or that subject matter, or we've had experience, you know, we've had success in that particular area. And then when we're in an environment where, you know, it's not so much about our expertise, or the circumstances are foreign or new, it's a little more intimidating. So, you know, here's an example. I'm very comfortable speaking at the VIP Center. It's a lot different than going and standing in front of 500 to 600 people doing a keynote, you know, people that you've never met before. So there's just a whole different feel, and there's more strategy and thought that has to go into it. And you want to make sure that you don't get up there and you go,
And see, I'm slightly the opposite, in where if I'm facing people that I've never seen and will never see again, I'm more confident than when I'm giving information to close relatives, because I feel like, you know, the verse, a prophet has no honor in his hometown.
Yeah.
That speaks to me a lot.
Yeah.
So when I'm speaking to people that I really care about, I want to make sure everything is absolutely right and I can't mess anything up. Yeah. Whereas if I'm, you know, speaking to people that I may never interact with on a one-on-one basis, I don't care what they think, because I know my information's right. Well, at that moment anyway.
Yeah, well, so there's this whole psychological element to speaking, you know, the actual act of speaking, and we know that we have to deal with that. But I do want to draw you back to your worksheets, and I'm going to do some fill in the blanks for you. And let me share my screen. So for example, the first one, you know, the value of speaking publicly on behalf of your business. And we're talking, you know, on behalf of your business, whether you are the product, or, you know, something else that you do is the product. So the value of speaking, it builds the know, like, and trust factor faster. So when we talk about speaking to bring visibility to your business, your product, and your brand, it does create that, because people are seeing you in real time. And they're able to read your body language, you know, your nonverbal cues. They're able to hear your voice and synthesize your words together. So the second thing is speaking allows others to get a sense for who you are. So, you know, we've talked before about the 3 V's, your visual, vocal, and verbal outputs. I mean, it's a part of the way that you interact every day. You're a reality TV show walking around, and people are making assessments and evaluations of you, whether they're fair or not. But when people get to see you on stage or on Zoom, where you're the one person speaking, they do create a sense of who you are. They do create a story about you. And so the third thing is when you are speaking on behalf of your business, it takes the guesswork out of what you do. It's one thing to read something on paper, and for many people, that's just not enough. That's not enough to really describe what your business does. I can't tell you how many people, they can go to somebody's website and then they see them in person and say, well, what exactly is it that you do? So there's something about that personal connection where we tend to be a lot more descriptive when we're in person than when we're on paper or online on a website. So speaking also gives you a fantastic opportunity to influence and create connections. 80% of our decisions are, does anybody know what the answer is?
Emotionally based.
That's exactly right. Emotionally based. And so you are more likely to influence someone when you are in person with them and you are in close proximity. And it is the time when you're most likely to create a connection with them. It's very unlikely that you're going to create some kind of deep connection by somebody going to your website, right? I mean, there's no human there. It's information. And yes, you can say things that spark interest in them to learn more, but nothing does it like you being up close and personal with them. And the whole value in my mind for speaking is to start building and developing relationships and to create relatability. That's what people want, especially since we've gone through the pandemic. I am a trend watcher. I'm very much a thought leader, and I watch people and I pay attention to what they're not saying, but more so about what they're doing. And I have really seen a significant shift in people that it's no longer enough to, they're no longer falling for the flashy and the shiny objects as much. They are looking for authentic relatability. They're looking for people who are down to earth, that are full of integrity. You don't have to have all this spiffy shine to you. They just want you to be for real. And a great example of this, it actually is a post, but Erica Ballard, I follow her on LinkedIn, and she put a post yesterday. It was phenomenal. It was like one of the best posts that I've ever seen on LinkedIn. And Erica, it was a picture of her kneeling down. She had her infant child up against her breast, breastfeeding. There was a dirty diaper. And it was a real picture of it's just a great representation of women in business who, they can't present this shiny picture of, I'm successful and everything is glamorous and wonderful. And so someone was trying to influence her and say, oh, you need to not be a victim. You need to tell people to, what makes you successful. And so she showed this picture, and she's basically saying, this is the real deal. This is what we as women go through. And it spoke to people. Well, people are looking for that kind of vulnerability and authenticity these days when you go and you speak with them. They're not looking for, you to just be this plastic representation of a human being. And so speaking is a great opportunity to bring that about. So I want you to think of before I go here, let's pause on this for a moment. Can you think of a time that you heard someone speak and it just really resonated with you, and you it did help build a relationship, or they were very relatable. It influenced you. So Rachel, you're shaking your head, yes.
So I attend a lot of association meetings and speaker seminars with my life business. And the one that we had in April was, the speaker was a gentleman who had lost his wife to cancer last Christmas. So he's been, and she had battled with like stage 4 cancer for about 2 years. And we're very close as a community with this person. But as he was sharing about how things are different in his life now that he's not part of a couple. And as I'm sitting there, he was talking about how his church, you know, he used to be a part of a small group that was all couples, and it's too hard for him to go to that same small group anymore because everybody's a couple, and he couldn't find anything for singles in his church. And he was talking about his frustration with that, and I'm in the seat going, yes, absolutely, because as a single woman who's not in my early 20s and actively looking for, you know, that husband, there is not a lot, you know. And later on, when I was on another group call and we were talking about the presentation, I stood up and said, I just want to acknowledge that he acknowledged that there's an issue there, because I immediately connected with him in a way that I hadn't when his wife was still alive. Do I wish his wife? I mean, that's a horrible reason to connect with somebody, but it was an authentic connection.
Mm-hmm. It was a reality.
Yes, thank you. That's a much better word. You know. So.
Okay. Good stuff. Lois, how about you? Have you, can you think of?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, there's, I was trying to think of outside of the church, and there has been, but they for whatever reason, they don't stand out right now. Well, the latest speaker that I heard, and I heard her story in person, was you, Angie. I had to remember that at the Her Story conference.
Oh yeah.
And it was very, obviously I knew you were a professional speaker. I'm gonna say that before I heard you, because I was all on your website and I checked you out. But you know, I love when I hear someone speak, and I watch so many things that maybe other people don't watch. I mean, I hear the story, I hear the genuineness, you might say the vulnerability,
Mm-hmm.
things that you share, how far you will go. I am taken in so much, like how you're drawn in the crowd, and it's not so much that that's what you're like focusing on, that's what you're doing. It's just naturally happening, and it just springs up a well in me when I see that. It's like, oh my gosh, you know, that was just so powerful. That was just so amazing. She doesn't maybe even understand, and maybe you do, you probably do, but the impactfulness she's having on these women, and what she's pouring into us, and how she's changing our lives, or especially mine, and what she's waking up inside of me, and what she's shaking and rattling and rolling in me. And I mean, I'm going through all kind of experiences in the audience, and I do that pretty much with most people that are speaking. I'm going after looking at what in the world am I going through, and how they are really transforming me. Mm-hmm. Not that I'm judging them, but have they impacted me where I will never forget that. Yeah. Ever in my entire life. And I will always reflect back on that. Yeah. And that's the impact that I would want to have, but that's what you have. That's what you have had in my life.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome. But I mean, I feel like that's a speaker that you're not doing it just to be doing it. You actually are doing it on purpose, intentionally, to make a difference and to leave an impact and inspiration with somebody.
Yeah. And one thing that I want to say about that is that we all have the ability to do that. It's really just a decision that we have to make about how vulnerable we're really going to be, and how we're going to allow ourselves to be expressive. And so that's where a lot of people struggle with speaking. They can't get past themselves, and they can't get past, oh, I have to be this certain way, or, I have to be so super polished. And if you come from a corporate environment, you hear that crap all the time, about, oh, well, they're rough around the edges, they need to be polished, or what, blah, blah, blah. The world is shifting very quickly, and all of that polish, the polish, it's all going out the door right now. So, because people want real, they want real. So, Amanda, I want to give you a chance. Can you think of a speaker that comes to mind?
There's been a few CEOs that I have really enjoyed hearing speaking over the years, that I felt like they really connected with the employees and they were genuine. Mm-hmm. And I think what makes them stand out was that they were authentic. They weren't all that polished, but they connected well with the audience, and they had a message that was compelling. And the one person that stands out for me most is, I remember I saw John Maxwell at a little church over near St. Vincent. And so this must have been before he was super popular, but he's always been a good leadership expert. And he was just a really great speaker. I mean, and I think why he's a great speaker is he's a good storyteller. So mm-hmm. Good job of telling teaching lessons through stories. And he does connect with people on a personal level, just the way, I don't know, his style, just the way that he projects his personality out. So and that was 10 years ago, probably, that I saw him. And I still remember, I had a whole notebook full of notes that I had taken, but I just still remember that talk that he gave. So.
Yeah. So when we think about speaking, and, when we hear speaking that really rivets us, it all speaks to that there's an importance around how you speak. We know that we need to have, some basics. There's process around it. There's a strategy around it, but ultimately we're building all of that around the actual speaking engagement itself. And that speaking engagement has got to have, it does have to have storytelling as the core of whatever you're doing. I like to say this all the time, and you may have heard me say this, but facts tell, but stories sell. Mm-hmm. So whatever you're selling, whatever you're trying to bring visibility to, there needs to be an impactful story, a story that is authentic and real. And it is a story that just reaches out to the heart of your audience. Otherwise, you're never going to be able to sell effectively if you can't get even just a basic understanding of that. Who loves it when someone says, hey, I'm here to sell you this brand new cup, and it's beautiful and it's yours for $9.99. Nobody likes that at all, right? Nobody. That's a thing of the past. And so as business women, we have the opportunity to bring forth our true selves, our authentic selves, and we have the ability to influence others and to build relationship with them and serve this mission. The money will follow. The money will follow. But if you're focused on your mission and speaking that mission everywhere that you go, you're more likely to be successful in business.
I had a professor that would always say, worry about your job, your work, whatever, focus on that. The money will follow. Like, don't focus on the money.
Yeah.
Money's not important, but we've got to have our priorities in the right spot, I guess. So
Right.
make sure what you're pursuing is worthy, I guess.
Well, and people know when money is first for you. They can tell it by the way that you behave. I mean, they can smell it. Honestly, it's fishy. It kind of stinks. So they know what your priorities are. All right. Well, so let's just do a quick, we've got a little checklist there. It's what concerns you the most. Let's go back to our worksheet here. And you can actually check more than one, but let's go ahead and identify what concerns you the most. I don't know how to get started with speaking. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to structure a speaking engagement. I don't know how to actually get speaking engagements. I don't know how to create a speaker sheet or marketing materials for speaking or other. And then you can put other on the line. So we'll give you a minute or so to do that. Okay, Rachel, what did you check off there?
So I checked off, I don't know how to actually get speaking engagements, and I don't know how to create a speaker sheet or marketing material for speaking.
Okay. Yep. And that's we're going to spend one of our sessions talking specifically about that. Amanda, what did you check off?
I checked other.
Okay, say more.
I do not feel compelled to pursue public speaking.
I love the honesty.
You mean you don't see yourself being one of the speakers at Indy Sherm conference?
Don't really have an interest in that. I know it's probably something that I should think about, but I really don't have an interest in that. And it probably has to do with the comfort level, but I am happiest being behind the scenes doing work. I know you got to get out front and be visible. I get that, but I don't think public speaking is the way that I'm supposed to do that. And I don't have an interest in pursuing it. But
okay. Okay, so in your mind, you don't see yourself using that as a business development tool. Okay.
No.
Okay. You could actually speak about that.
Probably I should probe that more and figure out if that's really just because I don't say I'm fearful of it. I'll do it, and I have done it, but it's not my favorite thing to do. So I guess that's probably part of where it comes from. So it takes a lot of work for me to prepare for something like that. I mean, I'll probably double what it would take anybody else in terms of putting something together and practicing and making sure I've got everything. It just takes a lot of effort.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, and speaking does come in different forms. It's not just standing up and doing a keynote. It could be, public speaking is doing Zoom educational videos and things of that nature. So are you thinking more along the lines of you standing up as a keynote? That's not your thing, or, just not standing up in front of groups at all? Or are you eliminating all forms of speaking?
I think it's more of like a keynote. I don't see myself doing that at all. I'm not a good storyteller. I think some people are gifted with that, and I just don't see myself as a good storyteller. So part of that is because I get rushed. I just want to tell you what I'm going to tell you, and I don't want to spend 40 minutes telling you 2 minutes. Right. So I don't know. Probably it has to do with practice and all kinds of things. I just don't see myself doing that.
Okay. All right.
Classes, yeah, I could stand up and do a training or a talk on something, but
yeah,
myself doing keynotes and motivational type speaking.
Okay. All right. So Lois, what did you check off in terms of what concerns you the most?
I checked off, I don't know how to structure a speaking engagement. I don't know how to actually get speaking engagements. And I don't know how to create a speaker sheet or marketing materials for speaking.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good because that's those last few there. That's what we are going to be focusing on. We're going to talk about, how to actually structure that. And I've got a formula that I like to use. And then we're going to talk about how the different ways that you can get speaking engagement so that you can get your business or you as the brand so that you can get in front of others in order to build your business. Okay, we've got just a few minutes here, so we want to start with the basics, and I want you to think about topics that you have knowledge about, topics that you could speak on that you feel really comfortable with those topics. Okay. You know your stuff there. And so let's do that. Don't worry about the points and highlights right now. Let's just take just a couple of minutes to brainstorm some topics that you could speak on. All right, ready, go. All right, Rachel, do you have some?
Yep. Okay,
right.
so I have being single and the challenges that come with it, practical steps to overcoming debt, tricks to overcoming fear of public speaking, theater basics and games, the ESBI quadrants, which is a financial term, the 4 personalities from the book Personality Plus, Bitcoin basics, which I would hope I would put that on my list, and that's what I'm teaching on next week.
Yeah.
And family communication tips.
Good. Yep. And I loved the workshop that we did. And I can't remember what we worked on in terms of the title, but
Dramatic perspectives, I think.
yes, that was really, really good.
Thank you.
All right. So Amanda, what did you come up with?
The value of HR audits, solutions that create employee engagement, things I wish I knew as a new HR manager, building reliable and repeatable HR processes, the importance of HR for any size business, top 3 ways, I don't even know what these 3 ways are, but top 3 ways HR supports business. They may surprise you. Getting it right, HR compliance. I don't know what those top 3 ways are. I'd have to brainstorm on that, but I don't know. It just came to me.
Yeah, but I just love the titles. I mean, there's no massaging those at all. I mean, you've got the titles and they work. All right.
Awesome.
So good
Now, do you
job.
want to write the rest of the content for me? I'll just send you the
Well, I'll give you the structure that will help you to think of the content much more easily. So we'll do that the next time. Okay, Lois, so what did you come up with?
So some of my topics include prayer, power of prayer, God, relationship with God, a narcissistic abuse, self-forgiveness is the key to unforgiveness. That's something I've learned, and the power of that. And then pastor kid life.
Oh.
To live as, being a pastor's kid, what that's like, with all of that good stuff and bad stuff.
Okay. Good stuff.
I stopped writing. I guess I could have kept going, but.
Yeah, I mean, and you can. I mean, that's one thing that I always challenge you all to take time after this and do deeper reflection on this. I know that some of us, we go right back to doing, our daily grind, but I do encourage you to think of other topics and think about it in terms of, why would you be speaking in front of someone? Would it be Lois, for example, if you are trying to get people to learn more about your insurance business, how could you tie a topic to that? Could it be, I was just thinking, what being a kid's being a pastor's kid and insurance have in common? I mean, you think like that, you're like, well, what would it have? It creates curiosity, right? I mean, so-
Yes, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, that's weird. Now, I didn't even mention anything about insurance. See, I think I'm just not in my lane, but anyway.
well, no, I mean, you're thinking more along the lines of stories.
Yeah.
Stories.
Yeah, one of the things that, since you're mentioning that, Angie, real quick, I do have a great desire to do a seminar like setting on life insurance, like burial, final wishes, because I know a lot of people, unfortunately, they are not prepared.
Yeah.
Their final wishes are not in order, their affairs, and
Yeah.
I'm going to use, that's one thing I am going to do through this business. I am going to promote family meetings and family gatherings and people coming together to not making it such a dreadful subject, but that it needs to be done, because, you know, GoFundMe was not meant to be funeral insurance.
Right.
You know what I mean? And a lot of people, because we're not ready or we're not prepared, that's what happens.
Yeah.
So that has become like a passion of mine.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And there, just in my mind, there were so many things just pinging about different speaking engagements that you could have. I mean, why you and your family have to get it together now.
I love that. I'm writing that down too.
10 reasons why you and your family have to get over, get over the past and get on board with the present in order to plan for your future.
Oh, that's good. GoFundMe is not a funeral. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, I love that even just the title, GoFundMe is not an insurance plan. The 3 things that you can do now to make your wishes, your last wishes known or something. Yeah. So, I mean, I could see some beautiful synergy around those topics and telling stories around that. So, and bringing people together. So that's good material to work with.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, ladies. Well, that's all we have time for today. So I do want to encourage you to think more deeply about how you relate these topics. I mean, you've got topics. What would you talk about? Are there some stories that you would be able to tell around that and combine the facts and stories together? So again, we're not going to meet next Wednesday. I'll put that notification out due to VIP week, but we will be together the following week, and we're going to pick up where we left off on speaking engagements for business. Okay. All right, ladies, I hope you have a fantastic rest of the day. Amanda Gleason holding down the fort at the VIP Center today.
Yes, I am. I love it here.
All right, ladies, we'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.